Mapping the surface of Mars is easier than mapping the deep sea floors of the Earth's oceans, but that hasn't stopped a team of researchers from doing just that in the Atlantic Ocean. Scientists with the ATLAS project have spent the last 5 years using remote-controlled robots to explore the deep sea floor of the ocean, where they discovered species previously unknown to science. A major part of their mission was to predict future challenges to these ecosystems in the face of climate change. Murray Roberts is Professor of Applied Marine Biology and Ecology at the University of Edinburgh and coordinator of the ATLAS study. Thank you very much for joining us on ABC News. Can you tell me what was the purpose? Talk us through that purpose of ATLAS.
So ATLAS was a project in the North Atlantic Ocean, and it teamed up scientists from Canada, the United States and right across Europe to work together on better understanding deep sea Atlantic ecosystems. And we chose to focus on deep sea Atlantic ecosystems because they're really at the forefront of human activities these days as people explore for oil and gas in deeper waters, people look for fish in the deep sea, but also the deep ocean is changing thanks to the many effects of climate change. So the oceans are getting warmer, about 90% of global heating has actually warmed the sea, and about 30% of the carbon dioxide we've released has dissolved in the oceans, and that's pushing the oceans into a more acidic condition than they've ever been in the past.
Tell us how these deep sea robots that you use for this actually work.
So some of them are tethered to the surface. We call those remotely operated vehicles. They have cameras. You're actually seeing video at the moment from one of these remote vehicles. Cameras and lights illuminate the scene, but also they have manipulator arms, little robot arms. The scientists on board can then use those to carefully take samples or to put out experiments and make measurements in the deep ocean. So they truly are the hands and the eyes of scientists in the deep sea, and they allow us to study, leave equipment in place, and understand these environments. And that was what ATLAS was really all about. It was about understanding how these places tick and how they might change in the future. And
you discovered some new species.
We did, yes. So we've discovered 12 new species. There's some corals, there's some animals called bryozoans, strange colonial animals. We've also discovered some seashells, mollusks as well. So there's been quite a variety of species, about 12 described. 30 species found in new places, and this really just shows how little we know about the deep ocean, how much there is still to learn.
Can you explain to us what you discovered in relation to acidification?
Yeah, for sure. So that acidification signal is actually really bad news at depth, because in the deeper ocean, the water is already slightly closer to of things like deep. Many deep-sea corals are built from calcium carbonate, and as the seawater becomes slightly more acidic, that calcium carbonate starts to erode and dissolve away. So that's attacking the very foundations of huge deep-sea coral reefs that have formed over hundreds of thousands of years. The Atlantic Ocean has been, historically, one of the best places in the world to be a deep-sea coral. But if the predictions are right, and ATLAS did a lot of work in this area, the predictions are showing the suitability of the habitats really collapsing over the next 100 years if we stay on the emissions trajectories that we're currently on.
What are the next steps for the project?
So ATLAS has wrapped up, but we're really excited to have launched a new project. It's called Atlantic. And that brings together Europeans and Canadians and Americans once again, but we're also working with South Africans, Brazilians and Argentinians, so embracing this approach and then expanding it to the South Atlantic. So we're really excited to have launched that project, and that will take us through until 2023.
Professor Murray Roberts, I do thank you very much for your time on ABC News.